Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the greatest time of the day. From the center of the universe, New York City, it's the main event you've been waiting for. It's time to go in the cage with Cyclone.
And for the 35th time, your Messiah has returned. And guess what, guys? Right off the bat, my mentor is on the hotline. You could hear Joe Spano on SB Nation Radio every single Saturday from 4 to 7, and then on Sundays from 8 to 10. Joe, how are you?
I'm doing specialty programming. I'm really all over the SB Nation Radio Network and have been for some time, but it's great to be here tonight. I'm looking forward to it.
Like I said, Joe, I really appreciate you coming on with me. So,
My pleasure.
let's dive into the ring instead of the cage for a second. Would you say that between Wilder, Fury, Lomachenko, now Canelo, next week the Twins and Barclays Center, can we call this a boxing resurgence we're going through?
You know, as far as audience share and things like that, I really don't know. I think the jury's out on this side of the pond. But we're getting some real compelling and competitive matchups, and we've got all kinds of exciting boxing. But the realities are, in England and in Europe in general, in Great Britain in particular, over the last several years, we have seen a huge boxing resurgence. You know, boxing has taken Great Britain by storm again over the last half a decade, and I'm hoping we continue to see that growth here. I think we're starting to see a little bit, but I'll say the jury is still out before we can call it a true resurgence here.
Now, let's start with the Wilder-Fury situation. No matter who won, if it was a draw, not a draw, no matter what the case might be, as far as that's concerned, there has to be a rematch, and I believe there was also a automatic rematch in the contracts too, right?
I know Deontay Wilder had a rematch clause as the WBC heavyweight champion, and he had a rematch clause that he could exercise. I'm not sure about Tyson Fury, but I would expect with that ending as a draw that those two will lock up again, and I would assume the winner would then move forward and fight Anthony Joshua, and I think that would be on the other side of the pond, and I think it would be a huge payday in Great Britain as they pick like Wembley Stadium or something and they sell 80,000 tickets in 30 minutes.
Do you think that the rematch also should be in the UK?
Tell you the truth, because of how popular boxing is in the UK, the fact that they can have these huge matchups, not in indoor arenas, but in outdoor stadiums like Wembley Stadium, they can sell those tickets, you know, in a matter of minutes, 80,000 of them, and they get tremendous pay-per-view buys. So one thing you find about boxing, like in any other sport and really any other walk of life, you always end up going where the money is. And the truth of the matter right now in boxing, the money is in Great Britain, and in particular that money is in the heavyweight division because two of the three biggest names in the heavyweight division are both Brits.
Okay, so let's say that the rematch is in the UK. Follow me, if you will, because I have been chirping about this since that fight went down. I want them to trilogy, but the trilogy fight has to be in the Garden. That's the perfect spot for it, in my estimation.
I'll go with that. I'll absolutely go with that. Have the third fight in the Garden. I think they can sell out the big building because the heavyweight championship matchup, these fighters are starting to grab the interest of the boxing public in the heavyweight division. So I have no problem with that. But as popular as those heavyweights are starting to get here, especially in the case of Deontay Wilder because he's an American, it pales in comparison to how popular Anthony Joshua in particular is in Great Britain. He is one of the biggest sports stars in that country, period. And he has the ticket sales and the pay-per-view buys to really prove that.
Now, look, nobody truly knows the real reason, but if you had a guess, gun to your head, why do you think that Joshua Deontay never went down?
Money. The realities are it's money. Everybody's got to make sure they get the amount of money they want, they get it in the venue they want, but it's going to happen. And I think once everybody has exhausted all other opponents, it's going to happen. Now, the big thing for Deontay Wilder is he's got to beat Tyson Fury in the rematch. See, the thing for Anthony Joshua is he can't lose. Basically, he can fight whoever he wants, wait until the Wilder-Fury situation sorts itself out, and then fight the winner. And regardless of who that winner is, Anthony Joshua is in to make a boatload of money. Because if it's Deontay Wilder, it's a British versus American heavyweight championship, two big-time punchers. That'll command huge dollars because big-time heavyweight championship bouts always do. And if it's Tyson Fury, two Brits, that huge boxing resurgence in Great Britain, that fight would take Great Britain by storm. So I think in some ways the big reason that fight did not yet happen is there wasn't the right financial incentive for Joshua to make sure it happened yet. It's, he could kind of dictate terms and kind of wait until the Wilder-Fury situation sorts itself out, and then he'll pick off whoever's left and make huge dollars. I really do believe Anthony Joshua was in the driver's seat as far as these matchups, and I believe his promoters are taking advantage of that, and they're only going to throw him in the ring with opponents like Wilder and Fury if they like the money.
Now, boxers are known for taking rounds off, just putting their foot on the brake for a couple of minutes. It seems to me that in the Pedraza fight, Lomachenko did that a little bit too much. Do you think anybody can, at least in your field of vision, can stop Lomachenko?
Can somebody stop Lomachenko? Right now, I mean, maybe Mikey Garcia is that good, and that's rumored to be the next fight. Actually, no, he's not going to fight Garcia because he's going to move up. So if they could get the rest of that unification in the lightweight division and he were to fight Mikey Garcia at some point after Garcia moves up, if Garcia comes back down, I could see Mikey Garcia having a legitimate chance to stop Lomachenko. Beyond that, I don't see anybody that fights in the weight divisions that Lomachenko can frequent that's going to be able to stop him, because I don't know how much past lightweight he can move up. I don't know that he can put on much more weight, because once he starts getting towards 140 and 147, he will be the vastly smaller fighter, and that could expose him despite the speed that he has, how fundamentally sound he is. He's going to be fighting guys that are significantly bigger. So at 135 and down, I don't see anybody else. I don't see anybody that can stop him or even has a chance to stop him unless Mikey Garcia, after moving up, comes back down to 135. If Garcia comes back down to 135, that has Fight of the Year written all of it, and that will be far and away the biggest challenge of Lomachenko's career.
Now, they always say that someone on the way up needs, to be put through hell on earth to get to the next level. Someone needs to lose before they can win, as Mark Messier once said. Nehu, Isaac Dogbo, got schooled by basically an unnamed fighter, an unmarketable, unknown, off-the-radar fighter. Do you think this is where Neho decides to oomph up and step up to the next level with this loss?
I think that's entirely possible because, it's funny. You talk about having the setback, and sometimes it's all about how you regroup from the setback and move forward. Talking about a guy losing a fight and recovering, and Lomachenko's a great example because Lomachenko came to to professional boxing with great amateur accomplishments, and he didn't come as a young fighter. And if you remember, very early in his career, he had the loss to Salido. Remember? Right. I think it was his second or third fight. And he learned from that loss. And he took the step forward and has now grown into the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. So it's always interesting. How do you recover from a loss? Do you take that as an opportunity to step forward again and recover and learn from that loss, or do you shrink away from that loss, and does that loss define you? And that's really the big question. You don't know until you see this fighter get back in the ring with other world-class competition. That's the only way you know how a fighter has reacted to a loss.
Someone else that could be considered, at least, I think, as far as pound-for-pound greatest is concerned right now, Canelo Alvarez. Do you think he actually takes on Danny Jacobs next?
That's what I'm hearing. I mean, that's the logical step. Where else would... And I'll throw this back at you, and normally as the guest, I don't like to be doing the interviewing, but I'll throw it back at you. Where else does he go for a big payday fight and a fight that is actually going to challenge him? I don't know where else he goes, so I would think Jacobs would be the next logical opponent.
Win, lose, or draw, do you think he ever trilogies against Triple G?
That's funny because if you were going to do that again, don't you do that right out of the box?
True.
So at least that's my opinion, and that's been my experience. In most times when the fights are that competitive and the outcomes are that controversial, don't you just, have the trilogy and have those fights consecutively? I'm kind of the mindset that the fact that they didn't have that third fight right out of the box, I don't know that fight ever happens. And remember, the thing about Triple G is he ain't getting any younger. And we were starting to see a little bit of slide from him. His best days might be starting to get behind him.
Right. Okay, so if Floyd Mayweather is the A side, as he says he is, and he calls every single shot, which he says he does, why would he agree to fight, even though it's not, I don't know if you could call it a fight, a giant mess, a waste of time and a waste of energy, but to step into the ring with tension wearing 8-ounce gloves?
Why would he do it? Well, one reason. What's Floyd's nickname?
True money, but why
He's doing
not?
it
Why
for
not
money.
use the pillows, the 16, the 20-ounce gloves, 8-ounce gloves? I mean, even if he throws, he's known to have brittle hands. I mean,
Well, you got to realize something. 8-ounce gloves only serve to give Mayweather a bigger advantage. He's the bigger fighter, and he's the harder hitting fighter. You know, I hope all of you learned something from watching Mayweather and McGregor, because I heard a lot of people say to me, and I told you beforehand that McGregor had no chance. He wasn't going to be the harder hitting fighter. He wasn't the hardest hitting fighter Mayweather ran into. I told you quite the opposite, because here's the realities, guys. Boxers hit with one level of strength. Other forms of combat sport guys do not punch nearly as well. And the realities are Mayweather's opponent in this matchup, he's a kickboxer. He's an excellent kickboxer. He's a great mixed martial artist, but he doesn't hit as hard as Floyd. So putting him in 8-ounce gloves gives Floyd an even bigger advantage. And Floyd does control everything. Look at the rules in place for this bout. He made sure there's no use of any style of MMA rule at all. It is strictly a boxing match. This is Floyd because he is the cash cow. He is the guy that brings the eyes to the pay-per-view event. He is the guy that makes all this happen. He's the one that makes all the decisions. He's the one who says how it's going to go down. So he's doing it for the money. He's got all the stroke. And basically, by putting 8-ounce boxing gloves on a boxer, he has a huge advantage over a smaller, non-boxing opponent in a boxing match.
now, just out of curiosity, do you think there's like just a bazillionth percent of a chance he's a little concerned to have the, no judges not counting on their records? I mean, if it's a guarantee, if it's I know I'm going to smoke this kid, why not have 3 judges sit in ringside? Why not have it? Why not go 51-0?
That I can't answer why there's no judges at ringside, why this is an exhibition as opposed to a sanctioned bout. I don't think there's any real incentive for him to have it be a sanctioned bout. He eclipsed Marciano's record. He's now 50-0. So there's nothing to be gained by going from 50-0 and 51-0. And he's still getting his cash, whether it's an exhibition or a sanctioned bout. That's the realities. If you ask me if he's concerned at all, he's not concerned. He's not concerned. This guy has no better chance of beating him in a boxing match than Conor McGregor did. And you guys, and you were one of them, because I remember talking to you.
Absolutely.
He said, McGregor's going to be the hardest hitting and biggest fighter he's seen. I'm like, no, he's not. He's a mixed martial artist trying to fight with a boxer. He's not going to be, he doesn't turn on his punches like a boxer, and he won't be able to hurt Floyd. And if you remember in the matchup against Mayweather with McGregor, Floyd took his best punches and walked right through him. You're going to see more of the same thing here. So as long as Floyd trains and comes in any kind of shape, he's not going to be at all concerned about being in danger in this boxing match and having a chance of losing. It's Floyd's to win. He's going to dominate. He's going to look like Floyd. He's going to go to the pay window, and he's going to be the biggest, and he's still going to be the best paid boxer in boxing without even fighting a sanctioned boxing match.
Now, before we let you go, one last thing. If you look at Eddie Hearn, do you think he's sort of this generation's version of a mixture of Don King and Bob Arum?
Well, I mean, Matchbook Promotions has become, for those that don't know who Eddie Hearn is, Matchbook Promotions has become the big promotion on the other side of the pond. And he's actually brought quite a bit of his business over here now, and he's become that big global promoter. But do I say he's this generation's Bob Arum or Don King or a mix between the two? I can't say that, because Don King and Bob Arum both robbed their fighters like nobody I ever saw before. I haven't heard any indication that Eddie Hearn is robbing all his fighters. So while he has become that big-time promoter and, along with Mayweather Promotions and Golden Boy, he's right there as a global leader in boxing promotion. I have no indication that he's robbing his fighters, so I won't compare him to Bob Arum and more especially Don King.
Good point. Joe, I want to thank you so much for your time.
A pleasure, Cyclone. We got to do this again soon, my friend.
Absolutely. And once again, I want to remind everyone, you guys can catch Joe Spano, especially on SB Nation Radio, Saturdays from 4 to 7, Sundays 8 to 10, and all over SB Nation Radio.
That's right. This week only, though, Saturday afternoon, we got I'm moving up. I'm going to be doing noon to 4 p.m. Eastern Time this Saturday only.
Oh, cool.
All right, so a little change in schedule. They can catch me then. Cyclone, truly a pleasure, man. I promise you we'll do this again soon, my friend. You have a great night now.
You too. Thank you so much.
You got it. Bye-bye.
Bye. Guys, guess what? My mentor, dude, he is the most knowledgeable person, hands down. Combat sports, yeah, but he is the cream de la cream. He is the best of the best. Some house cleaning notes for you guys. Good news, yours truly has been fully credentialed by the PFL for their championships on the 31st, so that's how I'm spending my New Year's. Instead of drinking and having a party, I'm going to be watching half-naked guys throw down. I want to remind you guys, check this out, effectiveaggression.com. 2 super goodies going to be on the website really, really soon. This one from the aforementioned Anthony Joshua. Sweet, full signatured glove. Doesn't do the full signature everywhere. So go to the website and you guys can purchase this one. And this one, hot off the presses earlier today. The one, the only non-TRT using right now, Mr. Vitor Belfort. So, Anthony Joshua, Vitor Belfort, coming up onto the website really soon. Purchase it. Help stomp out cancer. Help. You know what? If you know someone that loves boxing, especially, perfect Christmas present right here. I want to say that we're going to close out the year with the first annual Psyches, all combat sports, and award show. I may do it, in a, 3-piece. Probably not, though, because I'm not that fancy. But that's going to be a fun show. Keep your eyes and ears open for that one. And we got so much more to get to right after this.
This is Frank Edgar. This is the Barbarian Tim Bosch.
I'm World Series of Fighting undefeated lightweight champion Justin Gaethje.
MMA legend, UFC Hall of Famer, Iceman. Check it out. If you got the guts, step in the cage with Cyclone.
All right, we had such a such a filled weekend this past weekend of combat sports. It was insane. Bellator 212 and 213, and that's something that Bellator is supposedly going to be doing a lot more often, having shows on Fridays and Saturdays. I don't know, that's cutting it kind of thin. You know, we talk about the UFC having too many cards. Bellator doing back-to-back nights, that's a bit rough. That's rough on their staff. Forget about people like me. Forget about people like you. Their staff, that's really hard. Especially when it's on opposite sides of the world, you know, there's really no way to get from, unless you know, do like an IG Magini sort of thing, but there's no real way to get to the other side of the planet that fast. The Gracies, Robson Gracie Jr. getting his first MMA victory in his first MMA fight. Then Neiman on Saturday, moving on, beating Ed Ruth. Holy smokes. First of all, in the welterweight Grand Prix, that was the one fight where, dang, you can't lose no matter who you pick. Two undefeated massive fighters just throwing down. And the fact that Neiman was able to beat Ed Ruth, I mean, it was your classic grappler against wrestler, and wow. Look, I think Ed Ruth is going to bounce back. This is just a little speed bump, you know, a little pimple on his road to success, road to the Hall of Fame one day. Now, AJ McKee becoming 13-0. What can we say? A title shot has to be in the cards for him. There's no two way. Scott Coker said, maybe. No way, Scott. It has to happen. AJ McKee needs to face Patricio Pitbull, who, by the way, Joe Spano isn't really too much of a fan of the Pitbull brothers. I should have brought that up to him. And here's the thing. As AJ McKee is rising up, so is Aaron Pico and their teammates. And this is one thing that always bothers me, where teammates won't fight each other. Look, the end game in combat sports is the championship strap that you put on the shoulder, put it around the waist, no matter where you put it. Not fighting a teammate is, I don't know. I just don't know. It's different if it's like a Valentina Shevchenko and her sister and Antonio Nina. You know, Vladimir and his brother promised their mom that they would never fight. It's one thing if they're brothers or sisters. Okay, fine. Teammates, nah. When it comes down to it, you can fight a teammate, at least as far as I'm concerned. Michael Chandler, for the third time, becoming lightweight champion, getting that belt back from Brent Primus. That was, if you can put into the dictionary what a fight should be, it was that Michael Chandler fight against Brent Primus. He was spot on, perfect. Everything, every shot thrown was concise. No wasted energy. Just did what he had to do to get that strap belt back. And funny enough, now that Bellator's in the business of doing cross promotions, they asked him post-fight, who would you want to fight next? And he goes and throws out the name of Khabib. I don't see the UFC ever cross-promoting at all, ever. But Khabib against Michael Chandler, that's almost as good as if Bader would fight DC now. Lyoto Machida, the Dragon, winning his Bellator debut, saying now that he wants a title shot against Mousasi. And Mousasi, this is how smart and how badass Gegard Mousasi is. 2 months ago, I think it was, about 6 weeks to 2 months ago, he said that one day soon he's going to fight Lyoto Machida. and he wants extra drug testing just in case Leota goes back on the breakfast of champions, if you will. No USADA and Bellator. I don't know if he's going to be cool with that. The last Fox card ever for the UFC, as of January 1st, become property of ESPN and ESPN Plus. They left on a pretty good card. No really big disappointments on that card. Charles Oliveira taking out Jim Miller, and you have to now think, is Jim Miller just a gatekeeper? Is this the point in time for Jim Miller where he can't hang with the big boys anymore? And not that Charles Oliveira is a big boy, but Charles's rocket is going up, and Jim's was stagnant, now starting to take that downward slide. So might be a gatekeeper now. I don't know. Barbosa destroying, just wrecking Dan Hooker. And these are one of those type of fights where you have to say Dan Hooker's corner should have thrown in a towel. Absolutely should have. As a matter of fact, that, my friends, is the finish of the weekend. And let's go to video clip number 2 and the finish of the weekend.
Boom, left hook. Again, right hand. Boom. It just kept going and going and going. But a little bit earlier.
Here's a beautiful spinning back kick square to the body, and that wasn't even the solar plexus, it was the lower abdomen. But Edson kicked so hard, he had Hooker in all sorts of trouble. Look at this. Oh, beautiful, perfect landing right on the gut.
I mean, just seeing Hooker squinting and making those faces after taking those strikes. I mean, look, I mean, he's getting kneed. The guy's still going to fight. He is a savage. But, I mean, this fight's done. This fight's done already. Dan Hooker is fighting on instinct. Then Edson, being the smart finisher that he is, goes and finds a body shot that finally ends it. Great performance by Edson Barbosa. Look at that, right there. I mean, the rib may have been broken already.
I mean, it says it right there. Jeez. Here's the thing about combat sports athletes, more than any other sport. They keep going. They are true freaking warriors, okay? Dan was busted up all over the place and just kept coming. And then apparently after the fight, he sat in the back because, first of all, he refused to be helped out of the cage, walked out on his own. Then he tells Dana he's sorry because he disappointed everyone. It's the same thing like Brian Ortega against Max Holloway. Fighters need to be protected from themselves. I'm really starting to think that corners need to start throwing in the towel more often. And now, let's go to that other clip where Joaquin Silva just wrecked New York's own Jared Gordon.
Boom, left hook. Again, right hand. Boom. It just kept going and going and going. But a little bit earlier, the left hook landed right on the tip of the chin and hurt Jared Gordon. And when you're laboring, when you're tired, when your legs hurt a bit, you have to stand in front of a guy that's as powerful as Joaquin Silva. It's asking for trouble.
Wow. That's a pounding. That is a pounding. Guys, guess what? Number one, pretty please, click share. Check out CycloneComedy.com. Check out Psyche Prods on Facebook. Head over to Effective Aggression. Gloves like this, so many gloves signed by athletes, celebrities, you name it, we got it, and the money goes to charity. So, help stomp out killer diseases by making a great purchase for somebody you love. I'm serious. Anthony Joshua on a glove, that doesn't happen. You can't find one of these things anywhere. I got one. It's going to be up really soon. Just keep checking and you'll see it. I want to remind you guys, keep it right here on Strong Island Television. After me, Pinups, Cool Cats, and Comics. Tongue twister time because I am exhausted. And we will continue with the show right after this.
Hi, I'm Jim Miller.
This is Dan Morigliano.
I'm Derek Brunson.
I'm Nick the Carney Lentz, and you're locked into the cage with Cyclone.
As I'm doing some house cleaning here, some more breaking news for you guys. You know how I'm always talking to you guys about one championship and how freaking great that organization is? Well, guess what? Shotri has signed an exclusive deal to be on Ted Turner's networks, TNT, here in the States, starting in January, which means everyone who loves DJ, everyone who loves Sage Northcutt, everyone who loves Eddie Alvarez can now watch them because they're going to be on TNT right here in the U.S. And this way now you can expand and watch everybody else that won championship. And I'm telling you, you guys are going to be impressed beyond belief that the guys there are phenomenal. They're just under everybody's radar. Another piece of TV news, flying underneath the radar. I'm sure most of you don't know this just yet. We all know how the UFC is going to ESPN and ESPN Plus, right? There's a tiny little loophole. And I figured this out, and I found this out the other day by accident. Starting in January of 2019, the majority of the UFC cards are no longer on Saturday nights. Nope. They are on Sunday nights. I don't know how I really feel about that because first of all, you get into a routine of Saturday, watching a card, writing your articles, preparing for your show for Monday. Now with the card being on Sunday night, got to wake up early Monday morning. It's, ooh. And I don't understand why they're doing it. And it seems, look, the Bellator and UFC have clashed on the same night a couple of times. As we all know, January 26th, they were supposed to do it again, just 10 miles apart in California. UFC cancels 233 because, quite frankly, they couldn't get a good enough card. Bellator rules the night on the 26th of January, which honestly, they should because Fedor against Bader is a fight everyone on this planet should go watch. Does the GOAT, Fedor, pick up another title? Does Bader become a champ? And then, of course, he's going to have to relinquish the light heavyweight. And like I said, I'd love to see Bader against DC right now. That's something I'd like to see, but honestly, it's never going to happen. At least not in a Bellator and a UFC. Maybe in some like grappling tournament or some wrestling tournament. It's the only place I think that would happen. If you guys remember, a couple of weeks ago, we had The Truth on. Mike Jackson, of kicking CM Punk's buttocks. Mike Jackson. I asked him specifically, what does he think about Sabino Mazo? And hello, Brandon, don't do anything you're going to regret. Don't write anything you're going to regret, Brandon. But I asked Mike Jackson what he thought about Sabino Mazo's chances of heading to the UFC and how would she handle the competition here. Well, the Colombian queen, Miss 6-0, Miss 21-year-old former beauty pageant winner, is now going from the LFA to the UFC. I don't want to pat myself on the back, basically because I can't reach my back. But I did call the shot. I called it a couple weeks ago when Mike Jackson was on. Guess you could say I know talent when I can see it. Anyways, you know what else I know? I know you guys are going to have to keep it right here after me for pinups, cool cats, and comics. Check out CycloneComedy.com. Check out Psyche Prods on Facebook. Again, EffectiveAggression.com. Pick up some gloves. Pick up. There's a lot of really great clothing lines on the site too. Get yourself a nice shirt. Get yourself a nice hat. Get something for your loved one, if you have a loved one. Click share, which is the most important thing. Right now, go like this. Click. Brandon, click share. Click share, Mr. Coo. And most of all, we will start wrapping this big shing-ding party up right after this.
I'm Dennis Bermudez. Hi, I'm Creepy Ian McCall.
Yo, I'm Kelvin Gastelum.
This is Mark Goldberg.
Yo, I'm the world's most dangerous man, Hall of Famer Ken Shamrock, and you're getting tapped out in the cage with Cyclone.
Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary.
So, on this day in MMA history, just two things happened. Steve Cazzola was born 30 years ago today. And 50 years ago today, the one, the only, not me, the one, the only, the Iceman, Chuck Liddell. Let's not talk about what happened a couple weeks ago with Mr. Liddell. But Chuck Liddell was born 50 years ago today. Happy birthday, Chuck. And, of course, happy birthday, Steve Cazzola. So those are the only things that went down on this day in MMA history. Now, raffle time. As always, 2 questions get answered, 1 person wins. Question number 1 that's getting answered is number 1, Kenny Hodgkins. Do you think AJ McKee would be in the title picture if he was in the UFC? Well, look, abso-freaking-lutely. There's your answer. There's your short answer. Abso-freaking-lutely. Look, 13-0. He is smoking everybody like a $2 blunt. Okay. If he was at featherweight, I could see him taking out Max Holloway. I think he could take out Jose Aldo at this point in his career. I think he could take out Frankie Edgar. I think he blows through Jeremy Stevens. And here's the deal. AJ said that after he wins the Bellator featherweight title, he wants to go up to lightweight. So if you think AJ McKee is lightweight in the UFC, it would be fun, him against Tony Ferguson. It would be interesting as hell, him against Khabib. But would he be in the title picture? Yes, absolutely. And let me just write down that you are heads, Kenny. And question number 2 that's going to be answered is numero 5. Brian Haran, you are tails. Your question, who was the most dominant fighter in 2018? Really, Brian? Who was the most dominant? Look, DC became champ. Khabib, no matter what you want to say about Conor, Khabib continued to torture people. AJ McKee took people out. Edward Folyang in one championship continued. There are so many great fighters, and that leads me to a little bit of a plug and a reminder. Keep tuned on Psyche Prods on Facebook. Keep your eyes on that page, because between Christmas and New Year's, the Psyche Awards, the first annual Psyche Awards. And then I'll go into more detail of who the dominant fighter is, but there's so many to choose from, Brian. I'll go with DC, but hell, Israel Adesanya tore through people. You put Israel in that group. I don't know. So, Kenny's heads, Brian's tails, and this is my Japanese quarter. And the winner is going to be, whoa, almost dropped it. It is heads, Kenny Hodgkins. Guess what? You win. And since you are building up a tab, your prize will be in the tab. Brian Haran, consolation prize, I'm taking a shot for you. And don't worry, it's not iced tea, it's half and half. Half tea, half lemonade. I know, Brian, you're probably like flipping out the screen right now. Relax. Don't blow a blood vessel in your brain. What else did I want to get to? One more plug, shall we? How about that? Effective Aggression. Seriously, guys. Great clothing lines. There is an insane amount of great signed gloves. Especially this one. This Anthony Joshua one is sweet. As a matter of fact, you really can't beat a full sig out of Anthony Joshua because he doesn't come to the States. I want to thank Joe Spano. Remember, check out SB Nation Radio. Joe, I appreciate you. Kenny, congratulations on winning. And you know what? One more treat. We're going to do a dream fight since we haven't done one in like forever. So I'm picking out 2 numbers out of my bag just to make sure you guys don't think I do it 2 at one time. I do it 2 separately. And let's pull this one out. All right, 59 and 95. That's 2 nice numbers. On the list, 59 and 95. 9 and 95 should be the next page. Wow, look at that. Patricky Pitbull of the aforementioned Pitbull Brothers. Let's say 59. Against Dan Henderson. I mean, is it even a question what would happen if Hendo fought Patricky Pitbull? Seriously. That's just devastating. First round easy, right? I mean, Hendo comes, well, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, Patricky's pretty slick, but I don't think he could take Hendo down. Just too big, just too powerful, just a monstrous guy. Can't take Hendo down. Hendo smashes him and then drops an H-bomb. Now, like I said, keep your eyes peeled for the first annual Psyche Awards. And until we meet next, which will be in 2019, God, 2018 just flew on by. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Cyclone saying, just because you're not an athlete doesn't mean you can't be an athletic supporter. Bye-bye.